lung, kill the stress to the head. I'm tryna do more for the soul, way less for the bread. Yes sir, I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I see the things that they do way less than they say. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Can't be a real, might get you canceled. The whole system need to dismantle. Coppers treated like the utmost wanted. Tryna rule the block but don't know what goes on it. News got a story with a new take on me. Carrying out the window with the screw face on me. But I know that God love me when my burn 95 degrees and I can't get sunburn. Wonder when your government don't make me legal. Burn the whole city if I can't be equal. Get off my please, Brad, I earned that. 400 years, how you still ain't learned that? I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I'm tryna do more for the soul, way less for the bread. Yes sir, I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I see the things that they do way less than they say. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Shout out to the trying to gentrify the genre. Tell them free my middle finger to your honor. In the days coming down the seconds on the timer. Goofy still trying to purchase that designer. About to buy, learn to grow my own food. Cause I don't like the look they give me in the Whole Foods. And when you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. But it ain't on me now, I'm limping cause my heavy. But ain't sweet, think we thin. My whole attitude on MC Ren. It's my neighborhood now, Bob, I bought that. 400 years, how you still ain't caught that? I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I'm tryna do more for the soul, way less for the bread. Yes sir, I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I see the things that they do way less than they say. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out.
Where we going with it? Now where we going with it? Where we going with it? What? Where we going with it? Yo, where we going with it? Where we going? Going back to Kemet, styling, profiling. It's been a long time. How many years? About 3,000. Man, we got to bring it back. The days and times of living is getting whack. I'm going back to Kemet, styling, profiling. It's been a long time. How many years? About 3,000. Man, we got to bring it back. The days and times of living is getting whack. I seen kingdoms come and I seen kingdoms fall. You could check it for yourself. You could read it on the wall like graffiti on the wall. Metal nets is what it's called. I taught y'all in the past. Now I'm back to teach you all how to elevate and repent from filthy ways. I know it's hard, but it feels good to fast for 30 days. I got y'all searching for the land that's across the burning sands, where the men turn into gods and the gods turn into men. The jewel of the Nile is in the motherland. Each one teach one, so go tell your brother, man. You're feeling down, then you got to snap back like a rubber band. Lord, going back to Kemet, styling, profiling. It's been a long time. How many years? About 3,000. Man, we got to bring it back. The days and times of living is getting whack. I'm going back to Kemet, styling, profiling. It's been a long time. How many years? About 3,000. Man, we got to bring it back. The days and times of living is getting whack. Hey. All the words I chant when I come forth by day. From the night, these sacred chapters I recite. Do my voodoo every day till I feel some things are right. Speaking in words of power, speakers get blown. Ancient tradition, deep in your bones. Ancient wisdom, speaking in poems. Melodies take you deep in the zone. I'm going back to Kemet, styling, profiling. It's been a long time. How many years? About 3,000. Man, we got to bring it back. The days and times of living is getting whack. I'm going back to Kemet, styling, profiling. It's been a long time. How many years? About 3,000. Man, we got to bring it back. The days and times of living is getting whack. Too many youth wanna ride and die. I try to tell them about the I and I. In my presence, I got y'all feeling divine essence. I come through dropping jewels that's full of timeless lessons. Not Egyptian, I'm comedic, spitting poetic relics from the highest mind. Look to the skies to find where I am headed. I come when I be spitting, y'all be playing, hating me. I don't know, probably cause I'm serious like A and B. And C, we alike sometimes more than we would like. I got the gift of gab, I was born to speak on mics. Got raw in me glowing, now I shine like skies in Cali. I represent the hood, and that hood is the Nile Valley. They call it Hoppy, the illest of the niggas. Nah, that's not me, I'm that golly representative. Spit the hottest sentences with the eye for rule. I see the evil that lurks in you. I live by 10 virtues that stops me from hurting you. I use oracles, so nowadays I plan better. Now I walk in the presence of God's angels and ancestors. Walking my path, speaking in code, talking in math. I got an inner divinity, mental serenity. I walk in my eye, even on my path alone. And in these zone, man, I got heart like Indiana Jones. I'm not a raider, but a raiser of the lost ark, the monarch of a righteous covenant. You ain't liking it, you loving it. I show y'all sacred ways from the ancient of days. The metaphysical master manifesting the greatest displays of mind control. Connect.
All right. Welcome to Paradigm Shift TV 314. This is your brother, DMG the Poet, a.k.a. Pianki Pata Muntu Neferamun Ra. And that was going back to Kemet. That is our brother, the head priest of the Temple of Anu. And that song always goes in. And we got a banger for you with a brother who I've been wanting to talk to for a while. Before we get into our spiel, let me do my usual greeting. Let me say hotep to my fellow Kemetic brothers and sisters. Let me say God bless to my Christian brothers and sisters. Let me say assalamu alaikum to my brothers and sisters in the NOI. Let me say Islam to my Moorish brothers and sisters. Let me say peace to my brothers and sisters in the nation of gods and earth, them 5%ers. Let me say shalom to my Israelite brothers and sisters. Let me say what's up to my atheist brothers and sisters. Let me give a shout out to my Abo brothers and sisters. And finally, let me say Jumbo to the rest of my brothers and sisters throughout the African diaspora, be it here in the wilderness of the United States of America or beyond. Y'all know I say that greeting for one reason and one reason only. It's because if you're Black, I'm with you, and I hope you with me. Our different ideologies should not keep us from uniting, and we can have unity without uniformity. We can also disagree without being disrespectfully disagreeable. With that being said, my brother, please introduce yourself to the Paradigm Shift TV 314 audience.
Peace and power, DMG, and all the listeners in, brother Nyame Ubuntu. The name is part of my philosophy. Nyame is the highest creator in the Akan. Ubuntu is a South African philosophy of because I am, we are. It's a philosophy of humanity. So the highest God is the oneness of humanity. And that's part of my philosophy. And let's get it.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And that's a perfect segue, because I was just about to ask you, because you tuned in last night. One of the talking points that I get from Hebrews and Christians is this name you made up. Well, first of all, I didn't make up my name. It was given to me. And the process I went through was that my elder, my mentor, and my friend, Baba Saba Maurice Neferu of the Temple of Het Haru, he simply asked, what are your main attributes about yourself? And me, in an attempt not to be arrogant, I asked the people who know me best, my brother Shabaka, my sister, and my wife. And I took the things that they told me and I sent it to him. And he originally came back with Pianki Pata Matulu. And Pianki being the founder of the 25th dynasty of Kemet, and Ptah being the one of the creator deities of Kemet, and then Matulu meaning by any means necessary for the love of my people. I then evolved that into what it is now with Ubuntu after I had a bout of COVID, where for the first 3 or 4 days I thought I was leaving her. So I felt renewed within myself, and so when you look at Ubuntu, he was a war deity, but he had the image that will remind you of like Haru or Ra, that falcon-headed deity. And but even with being a war deity, he still had this renewal essence about him, where he was about renewal and revitalization. And I felt, like a revitalized warrior. So I took out Matulu and I added Muntu, and then I put Nefer Amun Ra at the end of it, just because Nefer, it can mean beautiful, it can also mean good. And then Amun Ra, of course, being the hidden and the seen elements of creation. But I think sometimes, people who don't understand these African concepts just think we come up with these things on our own. So talk about how the process for you coming up with that particular name.
I've always been a spiritual person, and grew up Christian. I'm not gonna say I was a Hebrew Israelite, but I was pretty close, because upon searching for the truth, I began to study Hebrew, read the Hebrew a little bit, and but this is how I got the name, because I was a spiritual person, and as I slowly began to leave the Hebrew belief, the Christian belief, I started studying African spirituality, and I, talking to people in Yoruba, talking to people in Voodoo, and I'm not really that particular type of African spirituality type of person, but so I kind of just look for things that match who I was, and then Nyame still, the high God of the Akan people, that represents my spirituality, but I have a strong sense of humanity, a strong sense of African people. And the philosophy that best fit me was when I read the Zulu philosophy of Ubuntu. I said, man, that's perfect. And I personally put those together. I was given different names by different people, but that best fits me.
Gotcha. And it makes sense, because it's personal to you.
Yeah.
And that's how it works sometimes. Sometimes you have to connect to a particular thing, because even though I was originally given one name, as I evolved, I found what was more suited for me on a personal level.
Right.
And so, but like I say, sometimes you get this name you made up. Well, brother, you made up your name.
Right.
What's the one? Katazar. What the?
I know you probably named you Tazari.
Like my that sound like a cutting tool or something. But I mean, but I ain't gonna, whatever. I ain't gonna knock you, but don't knock me either.
And I even get it on the African side. They said, "Oh, Nyame, that's West African. Ubuntu, that's South African. How you have both of those?" I said, "But that I'm a Pan African. That represents perfectly of what I'm trying to do."
I'm glad you spoke to that because I got the Pan African flag over here on my wall.
Right.
Oh, I feel like people they get it twisted this way, and he happens to be a Christian, but why do you skip over West Africa? Well, first of all, you would be more and that connection issue is popping up again, bro. So
yeah, okay. So I'm just gonna go into my spiritual walk to you fix that connection. Like we grew up Baptist, and as a Baptist, my mom, she started studying more she became Pentecostal. You know, and when you're Pentecostal, you get heavy into the spirituality. She was a prophetess, and I always enjoyed the writings of Paul, in particular Galatians, the fruit of the Spirit, all of that. So I grew up kind of like just on the spiritual take, just focusing on the spiritual. But as I got older, I started to study the history, and that's when I got into the Hebrew, studying the history. I also saw how they went from the Jews, or the Hebrews went from Israel into Yemen, into North Africa, and then finally end up in West Africa. And I wasn't a Hebrew Israelite, but I did see the migration into West Africa. But I was also studying science really hard at the time, in particular physics. And I used to try to make the book of Genesis correlate with physics, with the laws of physics. And I couldn't do it. I kept, I would have my drawings and my diagrams of the dome Earth. And peace, Doma, what's up? And I saw my brother Gideon the last time. Peace, Gideon. I'm trying to make the physics work with the dome Earth and I couldn't do it. I said, man. Then I tried to do, okay, let me find the history, the archaeology. And I'm going back to the flood. And then I started studying Egypt just a little bit. I said, man, Egypt got all these great monuments, and there's supposed to be a flood happen around the fifth dynasty, one of the most powerful dynasty. This is not working. And so, man, I'm trying to make excuses for it. So I held it in, man, and I didn't tell nobody. I still was going to our little Bible meetings and still studying. And Hurricane Katrina hit Louisiana. My family live in Texas, and I stay in New Orleans. And that's kind of broke me free because I still was tied into my family. So I understand family ties. I don't try to break people up from their family. But that was, for me, it was a time just for me to really break away from it. And I'm telling you, I went through hell because I'm in New Orleans by myself and I acted a fool. I'm not going to lie. But during that time, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself. And at this time, the Darkside philosophy is starting to develop because I'm starting to see, man, there ain't no devil. The devil is the man I'm seeing in the mirror.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Some days I'm good. Some days I'm a devil. It's all in me. I'm creating all of these circumstances. I have the power to do all these things. And so studying that, I began, who am I? Where did I come from? And even though I knew I was from Africa, I did some studying. Man, I got heavy. This is like 2006. I just started studying heavy, just heavy. And man, I love history. I love science. But I saw God in nature for the first time, really just in nature, just studying nature, the things about nature. Nature is so powerful and so dynamic, so much intelligence in nature. I said, man, I've missed God this whole time. I'm looking for God, and God is staring me right in the face. You know, I'm experiencing God every day. But before, I just had the idea of God. That caused a lot of conflict, just the idea. Right. Am I thinking this God exists? Is it my fate? And yes, it was my fate. But when I really saw nature, I saw the handwork of God within nature. I saw writings in nature. And then I looked at I said, man, the meta nature is all about nature. All the symbols are the nature around these people. They understood it. It's all about nature. And then I began into the African spirituality, not so much the ritual practices. Now my wife is deep in the ritual practices, which is fine. But I love the philosophy behind the African spirituality because it's so based upon nature. You can see how nature developed those spiritualities. So that's a little bit about that part of my life, that journey.
Yeah, and it's similar to mine in that I kind of kept things to myself for a long time, and it actually proved a little bit detrimental for me in that it caught people off guard. You know what I mean? Because even though I was asking certain questions, you know, when I did, you know, just come out with it, it was kind of like, you know, people was surprised, and I'm like, you know, this been a process for a while, but they like, yeah, it's still kind of sudden, and for a long time I didn't really understand it, but then I kind of did get, you know, understand that okay, I did kind of keep the reality of what I was really dealing with and going through to myself. And I should have just been honest with everybody about the process I was going through, and maybe this wouldn't be so earth shattering to my wife, to my relatives,
right,
etc. And so I probably could have saved myself a lot of grief had I just been real, you know, been real with people. So it was definitely similar to that, where I was kind of going through this thing in my head, but not wanting to shake up, you know, my life in that way, but still kind of going through this process. And so, yeah, I definitely can relate.
Oh yeah, man. And that's for if anybody listening, maybe one person listening, it's gonna be difficult. And man, I'm telling you, when Hurricane Katrina hit, like I say, my family, who, you know, that she's my ex-wife at the time. Now, but my wife at the time of 16 years, I'm starting to go through this change, and the family like, man, something happened to you. You in New Orleans by yourself, and you become a heathen. I had my own business started going bad, and so people were saying that's because you walked away from Yahweh. The curses is on you, boy. You need to get your life back. But I knew what I knew, and they would say, man, you just stubborn. And it wasn't, I wasn't stubborn. I just knew, okay, this is a different phase in my life. But these circumstances, they're gonna make me strong. If I could get through these circumstances, because there are some days you want to go back. You just, man, you know, let me just go back and pray and get back into church, because this is
life would be so much easier, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be so much easier. And you know what? It would have been so much easier. But now that I stayed the course, I have a beautiful family. I'm strong in who I am. I love Black people, even though sometimes they piss me off. But you have to go through that process. And I call it, and the New Testament is right. There's a death, there's a burial, and there's a resurrection. You have to die. You have to die. You have to die for that transformation to take place. And it's not going to feel good. But if you really, truly a truth seeker, you'll get through it. And you will be a better person for it. And that's all I would want from you. Are you better today than you was yesterday? You know, I gotta ask myself daily.
And you just hit on something, because that's how it feels. You feel like you died and was buried. Then it's like, because you so ostracized. I remember my cousin telling me his wife, who, even though she's a Christian, this female will lie, gossip, backbite, talk about people like it ain't no tomorrow. But she tells my cousin, her husband, that she don't know about him hanging with me because of his ideology.
Right.
Like so people will metaphorically bury you, like you dead to them,
right?
Because of your disbelief. And so, and then you had that death and that burial, but then you get so comfortable with who you are that it's like a resurrection, because you so comfortable with it, it's like whatever. Right. It don't really matter what nobody else got to say. I'm true to who I am.
Right.
And people either got to deal with me in that space or don't deal with me, basically. So just like you would if I still believe what you believe. But either way it go, that these are the ABCs of me at this point.
Right.
So, but speak on this though, because I had the show last night. When did being a Christian become a bad thing? Because my wife is a Christian. A lot of my family members who I love and respect are still family members. A lot of my friends are still Christians. It's brothers that I've become acquainted with who I haven't even met in person, but I count as brothers who are Christians. When I had that show, I apologize to you about my brother who is no longer a believer. Called me about 4 times and texted me about 3 times. But the other people who were texting me and telling me, hey, chill out, hey, knock it off, were Christians who I've never met, but they my brothers. And I call them the one, and they contribute to the channel in various ways. Whether they even appear on the channel or not, they still contribute. My brother Walter Johnson, who in the chat, that's my man. Like, never been on the channel. I never met him in person, but that brother take time out and make sure I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, this is a good brother. My brother Najiti, same thing. My brother Minister Trey Williams. So when I see Christians being portrayed in a particular way that I know is not true, Black Christians, because I'm not gonna lie, I could care less about the other ones. But Black Christians, I feel the need to speak about it. But I don't think we get that on the other side. So, that sort of benefit of the doubt. Like Vocab just put out a video on comedic spirituality, but he talking about young Pharaoh and Polite and Seti. And last time I checked, ain't neither one of them brothers comedic. Right. So speak on that, those elements with regards to the false portrayal of Christianity versus the genuine portrayal and the nuances in between, and then sort of this false representation of what African spiritual concepts represent.
Well, and we talked a little bit about it earlier. The dynamics we see now, I give a lot of credit to YouTube and those early pioneers in YouTube in the conscious community. They was going hard at Christianity. But that dynamic came from, I can remember going to church. This was in the 70s and in the 80s. In the 70s, it was a different. It was more family orientated. It was the center of community. Going into the 80s, something. Well, I know, like where I came from in California, it was the name it and claim it. The prosperity pastors started to just pop up everywhere. There was some prosperity conference every month. Some new pastors coming in, and you had the $100 line, and they ignored the community. There was the church had ignored the community, and so being a teenager in the 80s, we were still Christians, but our way of life was beginning to change. And so what I saw what I see in the conscious community is a backlash to the neglect, because of the neglect of the Christian church. The Christian church didn't have that same heart that it had in the 50s and the 60s. It kind of left the young people to go out into the streets on their own. There was no guidance. And so as our online or information revolution, when we started to come into information online, that anger that we all have it when, you believe that you was betrayed. We was betrayed by the church. They didn't tell us the whole truth. They didn't tell us about ancient Kemet and all these different perspectives of knowledge. So we took an angry position against Christianity. Just like an angry child seeing his father for the first time, like, where have you been? So there was an anger that you saw in the Sarah student city. You saw in a lot of people, not a lot of maturity, but there was a lashing out against Christians. And in some cases, rightfully so, because of the history of Christianity. But it wasn't our Black people who was doing it. It was more, how can you be a Christian and these people did this against Black people? So that's where this anger come from, where I see online. And sometimes it's justified and sometimes it's not. But that's where I see the dynamics of the lashing out against the Christians. And of the last 3 to 5 years, the Christians are starting to draw back, attack back. But from the conscious community standpoint is, okay, we got this information, and the closest people that we're gonna attack is the Christians, because the Christians didn't tell us about these truths.
Okay. Now, why do you think that we don't see that with Islam as much? I see it some, and I definitely have my outlook on Islam. But why do you think we don't call out Islam specifically its part in our fellow Africans' subjugation that preceded our direct ancestors enslaved on the west coast of Africa, but we know the Arabs gave the European the blueprint. So why do you think we don't focus on Islam as much as we do Christianity?
Like I said before, it's because Christianity was so close to us. It was the center of our community, and so the 70s and 80s. I'm like that next generation of integration. We were supposed to integrate into the school system. Things were supposed to be good. Pops making a little bit more money. Life was supposed to be good. Then the late 80s hit, the crack era, and then things just changed drastically. Somebody's got to be to blame for it. So we put all the blame on Christianity because it was the closest to us. that's where our focus turned to.
Gotcha. And I think too, though, I think Farrakhan, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, our admiration for El Hajj Malik El Shabazz and his memory sort of keeps us from looking at Islam in a negative way, even though when we really look, if we examine it, we know that that's a whole different Islam that we talk about.
Right.
But I think that sort of, it kind of puts a veil over our eyes when we looking at Islam, because we have so much admiration for what they attempted to do in efforts to build up the esteem of Black people. Even though we don't believe in Islam per se, or even they brand of it, but just respecting the attempt to rebuild the esteem of Black people after they had been dogged out and degraded and dragged for so long. And I think that got a little bit to do with it as well. But,
right. And in the 80s, the people that was carrying consciousness throughout America, there wasn't no internet. It was the Nation of Islam. I heard a lot of consciousness from Khalid Muhammad. I went to go see him speak at Southern University in Baton Rouge. I was blown away that, this man really loved Black people. I've never heard a Black man speak like that.
Man.
And I knew about Malcolm X, but I didn't really get into Malcolm X until Spike Lee made the movie Malcolm X.
Right.
So hip hop and the Nation of Islam played a part in Black consciousness. So we couldn't hold them accountable for the problems we had.
Exactly.
Because it seemed like they was on the front line during those times of trying to bring awareness to the Black man.
Yeah. And what I figured out though is, even though we coming out of belief with regards to Christianity, I figured out that, and tell me if you disagree. In my opinion, I think that the original conscious community comes out of the church. Steve Bantu Biko was a Christian,
right?
And he kicked this thing off to me, and that it was a meeting, and I forget the name of the church, but they had a meeting, and this is kind of what sparked not the conscious community, but black consciousness, I should say.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people even realize that. So it's always been Christianity, or Black, our brand of Christianity has always been interlinked with Black consciousness.
Right. Marcus Garvey.
The Marcus Garvey, there you go. And so, and even if we go all the way back to Absalom Jones and Richard Allen,
right?
I think that we owe it to our people to point out that whether or not you believe in the doctrine, just to point out that these men were setting up in their church economic systems where, hey, everybody pay a dollar a month or 50 cents a month, so that when somebody, down on their luck, somebody lose a woman lose her husband, and she got children, we can prop them up to sustain them and replace that income that they lost, because of course back then there wasn't a lot of women working. They may have been seamstresses or housekeepers, something like that, but it wasn't bringing in the type of income the husband was. And so, but they had things set up within the AME church,
right,
would sustain those women and children if that thing occurred. Like that's, to me, that's revolutionary.
Yeah.
In and of itself, for a black man, for two black men to sit back and say, we need to establish this. You know what I mean? So
right. And it's consciousness because they added African to their beliefs, the African Methodist Episcopalian. So they wanted people to be conscious of their lineage, of who they were, even though they had taken on a different belief system. They still was conscientious to let them know, look, we're African Methodists. We're not like these racist mofos over here.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So that's part of our history. I tell people syncretism is what we do.
Absolutely.
Like you go to Central America and they took Catholicism, mixed it in with the Orishas.
Yep.
They synchronized it because to us, spirituality is a way of life.
Yep.
Okay, we have to endure our environment. We're gonna synchronize things that we can use in our daily life. That's what we do. That's part of our tradition, our ancestry.
Yeah, we not gonna completely allow you to take our complete identity from us. We're not gonna lose ourselves completely. Like you may strip us down to the bare bones, but spiritually we are who we are. And they carried these things, like me and my man Byron Washington, another one of those brothers, Christian brothers in the one. He a Christian, but he is very much African centered. And we talk about how when a woman in the church does a belly yell and she start moving and gyrating in a certain way, when you look at these voodoo and ceremonies where they got the fire pit and you see that woman dancing around, it's the same move. You know what I mean? Like that's culture carried over.
And especially when the drums get to going.
Yeah.
You know, the organ could be playing and she might be shimmying, but let the drums start and it's over with.
It's over with. Yeah, like and so those type of things, like you can't it ain't like taught. It's just it's innate. Yeah. And so you can strip us down to whatever level you want to, but in the end, our spirit, whether you believe in a supernatural spirit that inhabits our body, or just in the sense of I'm coming in the spirit of whatever ancestor, however you look at it, that remains with us throughout this struggle and this plight that we've navigated and endured through all this time. Like we to me, you know, my brother Andre always say that he in the chat, he can correct me if I'm wrong. Arabs are the most spiritual people on the planet. My brother Jacoba said Indians in actual India, excuse me, are the most spiritual people on the planet. I disagree with both of my brothers. I think it's us. And the reason I think it's us is Arabs are going to be Muslim. Right. If they ain't Muslim, they probably just don't believe in nothing. Indians, more times than not, they Buddhist or Hindu, or they probably don't believe in nothing. Or Christian probably, right? If they've been, you know, but for us, we can be any of those things, and we gonna make that spiritual tradition do what it do. Right. Because we can adapt to whatever spiritual concept you give us and make that thing rock. Yeah. More than any other people on the planet that you show me, Black people adapt to whatever spiritual tradition they adhere to and they make it their own, and they rock that thing out.
Right.
The Nation of Islam, even though they do it in a different way than Sunni, Shia, and all of that, but they do it, and they put their blackness on it, and they rock that thing out. Same thing, black church and white church ain't the same. We rock that thing out.
Right,
so
right.
We put our own flavor and swagger on these things. So to me, we the most spiritual. I just disagree with my brother, but shout out to both my bros.
Yeah, to me, it's not even a question. Not even a question. Now as the Indians, the East Indians, I mean, they're close, but they don't influence a belief system like we do. Even if you look at how white people do church now, it's patterned off the black church.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yeah,
and that model is around the world. I saw Chinese people dancing and shaking in China. And that's the blackness, that's the Africanness that we have to speak on, because we didn't lose that. We might have lost a lot of other things, but that humanness, that spirit, that African spirit is still within us. It hasn't gone anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I just think some things are sort of transcendent when it comes to us. And let me ask you about this. So when you see Christians or Hebrews, Bible believers, like a brother like a Leandre who comes on my channel, a Pastor Bennett who goes on Sinetta channel, Garfield channel, or even, I don't know, are you familiar with like Damon Richardson?
No.
I send you a video. He debated Richard Carrier in some Garfield put together a while back, but one of the
I might have seen that. They call him Pastor Richardson or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pastor Richardson, yeah. One of the more he had like a back and forth with Shaka Amos a while back too.
Okay, I didn't
but yeah, one of the more well known quote unquote urban apologists. Arrogant as all hell. I don't like him, but I respect his intelligence. Eric Mason, you know, brothers like that are accomplished and educated, who view some of the talking points that those in the conscious community have as pseudo, as nonsensical, etc. Especially when it's coming from a African-centered viewpoint. What's your observation, particularly with my brother Leandre, who you had a back and forth with a little while ago?
I understand it. I understand the arrogance, but let me put it where I don't want to be too confrontational. The arguments that they make is purely faith-based. And you can't argue somebody's faith. I can't tell you how you should believe. That's your beliefs. But what they do, they bring their beliefs into an academic setting, which they shouldn't do, because the text tells you it's about belief. It's about faith. Your faith shall make you free. Your faith shall make you whole. It's about their belief. Even in the book of Hebrews, it tells you your faith is the evidence. So why are they trying to argue over scientific evidence when we know your faith is your evidence? And they think they're fooling us, but you're not fooling anybody. We see your belief all over. And so I wish you had the clip of last week when I was saying about Alma and Bethula. Alma means a young woman who gives birth. Has nothing to do with a virgin. And in his infinite wisdom, he says the word before it means a miracle is about to take place. I forget what he was saying. A miracle is about to take place. Just because it emphasizes a miracle is about to take place doesn't mean a virgin 700 years from the time of the prophecy, a virgin is going to have the Son of God. He's interjecting his belief into that text. And it's written, it's all over the discussion. Just a novice who doesn't have any affiliation to Christianity or Judaism will read that text and see it's not talking about a virgin. But because you believe it does, then you interject your beliefs into it. So all these apologetics and everything, you can just listen. You can hear the belief and the faith, and then you won't get so angry. Say, oh, okay, you're held by your belief. And we hear this phrase all the time, cognitive dissonance. It's a contradictory belief in your head. You know, you might know something is true scientifically, but your belief will not allow you to follow that concrete science. So then you start making up excuses why it shouldn't be true. You're finding ways to make it not true when you know it is. That's cognitive dissonance. And these brothers have cognitive dissonance. And you won't get so angry when you realize that they're going from a place of belief when you're looking for evidence. It's two different worldviews. So that's how we have to see it. That one is science, and they're coming from a place of belief.
Yeah. I can see that. And I'm a little conflicted because I've gotten to a point where a lot of these brothers, and particularly Leandre and Byron, I respect their intellect, and I always brag on the two of them. And I tell people Byron is currently a Harvard fellow because I think it's important to let people know that this young black man, I think Byron is under 35. This young black man is a Harvard fellow, his Christianity aside. And so I respect his intellect, and I believe he has the ability to draw the line of demarcation between his belief and whatever subject matter. But as I hear you say that, I'm like, can you actually do that? And again, I think he can. I think they can. But you make a good point in suggesting that would be difficult to do because it's so part and parcel to who you are. And I say that because my wife, like if me and you were on the phone, like I'm doing a show now, so she wouldn't do it. But if me and you were just on having a phone conversation, talking about these things, my wife would be interjecting as we having this conversation because she can't help it. Right. This is what she believed. And our suggesting that it's untrue is offensive to her.
Right.
And so wait a minute. And I'll be like, hey, I'm not even talking to you. Like, chill out. Like this a conversation between, you know what I mean? But because it's so important to her and so part and parcel to who she is, it's like wait a minute, you talking about my God. So, and and she's not even coming on the apologetic sense, but just on the don't talk about my Jesus, sense. So I do wonder, now that you mentioned that, and shout out to Black Lion Supreme, because he actually, and it just hit me, he's been saying that, but because of the brothers I'm dealing with, I've kind of been like, I don't think they, but not just hearing you kind of reinforce it. It's like, well, maybe that's a thing. And again, that ain't to say that it is or it isn't, but it is worth taking into consideration when having these conversations. And so I think that you can't necessarily dismiss that, because they are acknowledging that this is what I believe.
Right.
It's important to me. So you can't just take that off the table all of a sudden because it's an intellectual conversation.
Right,
so,
right. You can't take it off. I mean, it's always gonna be there. It has to be there. It's required of you to believe, to make it truth in your life. It's just like I mentioned earlier. I always go back to the time of Noah, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Now, if you do the chronology, if you do the math, you go from when David and Solomon is supposed to rule, then you go to Moses, then you go to Abraham, then to Noah. There's a time frame. That time frame take you around 2500 BC. 2500 BC. I will give you 300 years either way. You show me a global flood during that period, and all the history in Kemet. Now, all your apologetic, nobody never talked to me about, nobody ever comes at me with an answer. They run from this. Show me a global flood during that time period using your apologetics, using your chronology. They can't do it. They won't even answer you. Oh, that's not important. It's not important. The timelines don't matter. So
I guarantee you, the brothers that come on my channel, they will have an answer for you. I guarantee it. And I'm saying that in a positive way with regards to giving them their props, because I say the same thing. Like I was just talking the other day, I'm like, so y'all telling me this 500-year-old man built a damn boat that's the size of 5 football fields? Like it's just because I told them, I say, okay, let's just say that I come back around to this. You know how we were talking earlier, like life would be so much easier. Like, let's just say I come back around to this thing. I have to literally believe everything in here because I can't. Genesis is hard to believe. I don't care what about, okay, let's say I say, okay, I want to give my life back to Christ, right? Mm-hmm. I want to be saved. I still find Genesis hard to believe.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Right. So, and I told him, I said, if I got to believe everything literally, I'm still going to hell. Like if that's a requirement, I'm still going to hell because I can't believe it. So it just, but you know, and shout out to my brothers because they actually take time and break these things down, you know, on a serious note. Like,
okay, Bianchi, I'm putting it out there. You can give me a clip. All you apologists, show me the time period of Noah, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Prove that to me. And show me that time period.
Hey,
let's start there.
He just put the challenge out. So hey, look, I'm gonna open up I'm gonna put the link in the chat to open it up for questions. But it's up to the brother. It's his show how many we take. We ain't gonna take a whole lot anyway, but it's up to the brother how many we take. We ain't gonna let a whole bunch of people in. But and you can ask one question. We're not gonna go back and forth unless the brother want to actually engage in the conversation. So that's just an FYI. But I mean, he put the challenge out there, like, and I'm always curious about that because even with regards to like Noah's age, my brothers was telling me, well, you got to think that the world was different,
right? And
people age different, and you know things like that. And it's like, hey, man,
show me the physics behind it. Show me some type of physics, some chemistry, some biology that changed before the flood and after the flood. You got to give us some evidence. If you're coming with evidence, come with some evidence. And they don't do it.
Yeah, because in Jesus' time, people was like, you lucky to live to 30.
Right.
But
right.
Not like in Noah time, cats was 500. And I forget how old Moses was. Hell, when he led them out, he was almost my age. I'd be 46 on October 14th. And I think dude was like 40, 40 whatever when he led them out, and he died when he was whatever age. But like these cats, and this is why I say this is myth.
Right.
Like this is myth. This is not history.
Myth. Right.
It's not myth. Like when you're talking about people 900 and some odd years old, and they doing things of a miraculous nature. Like my dude built a boat the size of 4 football fields, and he 500 years old, and he's still making children. and then these children, he had them with the same woman, but these children are different races.
Right.
Like my man had children with the same woman, but all 3 of these jokers is different races. This is myth.
It's myth.
Like you can't get around. This is like, if I said this, you see these things, these same concepts in Greek mythology, in Norse mythology, even in African mythology to a much lesser degree, because that's more nature based. But Japanese mythology, Chinese mythology,
everybody had it.
You see where, you know, a deity or even a human being or demigod would have a child, and then that child would, you know, Remus and Romulus was raised by a wolf, you know. But so you see these weird little concept, because these is human beings trying to figure things out. But I just want to know how a human being had 3 children by the same woman. So they got the same mom and daddy, but they become black, white. They become all these different come on, man. And then the Hebrew brothers is even worse, because twin brothers, one is black and one is white. But
with a whole new genetics.
Yeah, just you got a whole different set of genetics. You're a whole different ethnic group. But then you look at how Esau is described, red and ruddy, and David is described the same way. But no, David is Judah. Well, wait a minute. He described the same way Esau is. So they even more nonsensical. Like, I had a discussion with my brother Cap 10K from ISUPK that he do a lot of stuff on the channel, and it's or Africans or Native Indians, our brothers, right? Our people. And I ended up letting my brother Metu Hotep Jallo, he gonna do it, but and I'm gonna moderate, but I sent Cap the flyer. I put people from Africa who I actually knew on this flyer, and I just put some random Native Indians, Native Americans. And Cap sends me back a message and says, "You need to put some real Africans on there." I say, what? Where the bone eaters at? I'm like, nigga, what the hell you mean, bone eaters? What the plates? What the people with the? I'm like, Cap, what is? They from Ghana. They came to honor my brother Nana Kofi, who has a community center here in St. Louis called Sabae. He opened a clinic over there. He was named the chief. They came to honor him. Though I know I met them. That's my sister Eve, who I work with at the library. That's my sister Boyo, who I work with at the library. Eve is from Ghana. Boyo is from Nigeria. What are you? That's her brother. I know these people. Them look like Israelites that think they African. Because they look like normal people, they must be Israelites who think like, you see the madness with so Christians ain't got nothing on our Israelite family.
Oh yeah, especially that One West.
Yeah, Gideon, I'm not putting you in the One West box, so don't beat me up, Gideon. But I'm just like, did he just my dude? I still look at that text sometimes, like, golly. And so, but that's the paradigm we find ourselves in. Right. And so, what do you make of Black people? I get into the Hebrew, Abo, Moors, I you know, that we ain't African thing in a minute. But what do you make of Black people who want nothing to do with with Africa on any level. They really just rather, in terms of Pan-Africanism, they really just rather focus on what's happening right here. And from that standpoint, even here, they don't even want to focus on other Black people. They don't see us as a collective. It's all about the individual. Like my man from last night, who I ended up, having that unfortunate discourse with. What do you make of individuals who see Black people as, because of how they grew up, he don't necessarily see Black people as a collective or in a positive light, despite the fact that he Black?
I mean, initially, I used to get pissed off. Oh, you coon, I used to call all the names. But now I really understand it. I really understand what has happened. And if you, and that's what birthed the dark side philosophy. It's a play on Star Wars. Like, okay, if Christianity is the light, and I'm talking about the Christian history, with the conquistadors and the doctrine of discovery. If that's the light, then I want the darkness. If those people going to heaven, I'd rather go to hell. I'm the polar opposite of whatever that is, whatever Christianity is. And that's dark side philosophy. The opposing worldview to global Christianity.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
Yes. They created an identity where Europeans were closer to the light or closer to righteousness. And dark people, Black people, were cursed and meant to be slaves. It was them that spread that around the world. It was the Christians. I mean, we can't deny it. Now, you can say, oh, they're not true Christians. I don't care if they're true or not. They were Christians, and they spread that. And the thing that they did, like if you look up what a Black person is in American law, is a person with partial or full African ancestry.
Yeah.
They spoke the words that African people were to be slaves or at the lowest ends of society, not even fully human. It was the Christians that did that. And they did it in such an effective manner to where people that look like us began to believe it.
Facts.
It's in the government. It's in the education system. It's throughout corporations. It's in entertainment, just like Francis Quest Wesley was saying. We're indoctrinated by it. So when we see people that spew that same rhetoric, we have to understand, like Paul would say, we're not fighting against flesh and blood, but principalities in high places. The psychology behind it is powerful. And we have to do everything in our power to change that psychology. You brought up earlier, this brother went to the highest level of education. And I want to commend him on that. And I want anybody listen, whatever your trade is, whatever your skill or profession, take it to the highest level. Take it to the highest level and showcase your Blackness, showcase your Africanness, and then bring it back to the people. That's how we're going to overcome all of this. It's a psychological mind hack that has happened to our people that, like the brother said, oh, show me some real Africans. Real Africans can't look like that. They got to have a bone through their nose or through their lip. And what people don't understand is that in African culture, you don't attack the and I say primitive, not meaning bad, but primitive as the first culture. They still have those primitive cultures. They still have hunter-gatherers. In Europe, they killed off all of those cultures, those early primitive cultures. They killed them off, and that's when the Germanic tribes took over. But in Africa, you're going to see the greatest diversity of humanity in Africa because there was no genocide of those older primitive cultures. So there's a great diversity in Africa, but this brother didn't even know it. And if you talk about that guy that I see does a show on there, he look like he's straight from Nigeria somewhere. Like he just fell off the boat yesterday. But he talking about, let me see some real Africa.
and he'll tell you, them ain't our people. I know them ain't our people. I'm telling you.
But the mind hack is so strong. It's going to take dedicated people. Because I know what it is. Like the African Center, the Pan-African, we just have to become more of the example. You know, less talking about it and more being about it. That this is why you hold on to your African centeredness, because this is what's going to happen to you. Your life is going to be better, but we have to show it and not just tell it. So this is why every day you should be the better African than you was the day before. Whatever skill level you have, take it to the highest that you could possibly go, showcasing your African greatness, who you are, because your people fought for you to do that, to be the best that you can be.
Absolutely. I agree 100%, bro. Because it be like, man, when he be saying stuff about Africa that he think is true, it'd be like, bruh, like you have no idea what you talking about. But it's hard to argue with somebody who really think they know what they talking about.
Yeah.
It's just like, you know, when we talk about this Native Indian thing, you capping so hard for Native Indians and you going so hard against Africans. But Native Indians, like you say, Africans sold us into slavery, but Native Indians had us enslaved.
Right.
Like the 5 civilized tribes wanted to be Europeans so bad that they did what Europeans do. But
and they fought on the side of the Confederates.
Absolutely, but he don't want to acknowledge that.
Right.
To the point where he try to minimize it. They did it so they could protect us. What?
That's that cognitive dissonance I was talking about. You have two conflicting ideas in your head, and then you start sounding stupid. You're not making any logical sense.
And then I'm telling him that reservations are sovereign land for Native Americans, right? Like the police that'll shoot me and you, even though we got our hands up, can't even go on them reservations and dictate anything. He says that's not true. It's not sovereign land. I kid you not.
Wow. Okay, one second.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, family. I'm telling my brother about reservations. I'm telling them about how they got tax breaks with regards to casinos, and my brother is telling me I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'm like, okay. And so doing a debate or having that conversation, it don't even have no interest for me, because for me it'll be a wash. Now my brother Metu may make it a bit more interesting for him, but for me it would be a wash. Like it'll be like punching a baby. Like, you know, what the baby gonna do? Hit me back? So ain't no need of me, you know, trying to have a boxing match with a baby. When it comes to me talking about, or Africans our people or Native Americans our people, because my level of information versus his level of information on that is not even it's no comparison. So when you tell me reservations ain't sovereign, then it ain't even no starting point. So, but yeah, So the other thing I wanted to ask was the dismissal of African spiritual concepts and philosophies as untrue, as nonsense, as whatever negative pejorative they can put on it. What do you think of that? Because to me, it's like when we talk about voodoo, and I started to realize that that's white supremacist rhetoric.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is not a negative practice. Not like any other practice, it can be used in a negative way. But in its true sense, it's not a negative practice. But we let white people tell us it's witchcraft.
Right.
We let the European tell us it's witchcraft because it's not what they came up with. It's not what they do. And so we sort of just followed that line of thinking. And to this day, you get black people who will say, voodoo is bad without even really knowing anything about it. Never even delving into it whatsoever. You just write it off as bad based on what you heard from some white person. And so what do you think of that? How we just I was listening to this documentary the Urban Apologist got coming out. They got Brother Jabari all in it, by the way. But they say that the Kemetic community, the mother of the Kemetic community was Helena Blavatsky, Gerald Massey, and some other Europeans, and that those Europeans were inspired by demons. So, but just in more effort to dismiss those spiritual concepts,
right?
Because let's say that the brothers and sisters who adhere to these traditions became aware of it because of European. Black people, African people, still created those spiritual traditions.
Exactly. Right.
But go in on that. The negative outlook at African concepts.
First, I want to first start off on that dude vocab. He first attacked the Hebrews. Yeah. Now I'm known to attack Hebrews.
Keep going though, bro. I'm gonna step away for a second.
Okay. Yeah, he was known to attack the Hebrews, but I'm not gonna sit back and attack Hebrews with vocab alone. I would rather be a Hebrew and attack vocab alone than be on the side of vocab alone, because he represents where European Christianization or European Christians don't think that black people can take a spiritual idea and make it their own, when every other culture has done the same thing. And so when I talk about synchronization, I do see like the African Hebrews that went to Dimona, they synchronized that system, and I find that to be okay. They took power and control over that belief system. But what we have done is just like you were saying, we have taken the ideology of the European and we have made it our own. So then we see things in our past, or we see things that African people doing, such as voodoo, and we say it's evil and witchcraft because they said it was evil and witchcraft. If you study Dum Diversus, the papal bull that says it's okay to go in and make slaves of the Saracens and the Africans because they're pagans and they're evil. I believe what 1491 or something like that. They started with that as far as Christianity is concerned. And I believe it was Ibn Khaldun. He started with the thing that the Africans are cursed because of the curse of Ham. So we have taken on the ideology of the Eurasians, and we have attacked our own people with it. 1 second. We have attacked our own culture because we have been Europeanized to think that things that are African, things things that are black is evil or sinful or primal, not knowing we can take, it's all information. We can take information and make it our own. And I know people call it blackety black, but you can blackety black the hell out of any information that you want to. You have that power. You have that ability. And so this is African people, black people. You can take any information you want and make it your own, but make sure that it's the best that it can be. Make sure it reaches its highest level. That's all I ask. And make sure you stay true to your blackness, to your Africanness. Because if you don't, you start sounding like people saying voodoo is evil. So if voodoo is evil, because you're pointing out the evil that you see, you might see somebody practicing evil, trying to put curses on people. The same thing can be said for evil Hebrew Israelites, for evil Christians, evil Muslims. We're talking about human consciousness and human reality. Now, we can argue how God revealed himself or how the creator revealed himself. We can argue those points. But when we start saying these people, cultural practice is evil, but mine is good and yours is similar to European, then I have to question where you got your doctrine, who is really your God, who is really your creator. I think the European is your creator. I think Vocab Malone is your Messiah, because y'all hold a lot of the same views, especially in the light of a lot of the Christian doctrine that I hear out there. And so the indoctrination is very powerful. As I said before, we get it in popular media. We get indoctrinated in school. We get indoctrinated on the job. Everything it's set up to where we think that white should be on top and that black should be on the bottom. And we have to reverse that. And when I say reverse that, I'm not talking about hating white people. I'm saying look in the mirror and see the beauty in yourself. See the beauty in all the shades of black people. Yes, black is a color. It's a social construct. But it's a color and a social construct that we live under. We've been living under this for 400 years. So in the 60s, when people like James Brown said, I'm black and I'm proud, he wasn't talking about a feel-good message. He was talking about be proud of who you are. If they call you black, you say, thank you. I'm glad to be black. And what I'm hearing people right now, they hate the word black. People hate it. And the only reason why you would hate it is because you've been indoctrinated. It's just an identifier of who you are. It identifies who you are. You're much more than just that black skin, the big lips. You're much more than that. But if somebody call you black, thank you. I appreciate it. I love being black. There's nothing wrong with it. And we've been indoctrinated. So many people indoctrinated. I was looking at the beautiful sister Serena. She didn't lighten her skin. And she might, that's her prerogative to do so. But she's only done it to fit into popular culture because she's not comfortable in who she is. When you get comfortable in your blackness, in your Africanness, you won't say these stupid, ridiculous comments that we're hearing. And it's indoctrination and it's programming. That's all it is.
Yeah, when I seen what Serena did, bro, I was kind of heartbroken because
I was too.
I'm like, sis, you was beautiful just the way you are, and I wonder how much, if any, input the white husband, or the European husband had in that,
and he might not even have to say a word.
Yeah, I mean, just from a psychological standpoint, because when I don't know what that would be like, because I don't do Albions, but I wonder, like psychologically, because you're looking at your child who's probably lighter because of the mixed ethnicity, and then the spouse is obviously European. So, like, is it a psychological pressure that you put on yourself to sort of fit more into your own family that you cultivated? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a trip. Like, and this is why I tell people, and this is on a different subject, that I'm gonna do a show on this at another time, how we have to be careful what we say to each other, particularly men to, brothers to sisters. Like when we look at a sister like Lil' Kim, all the money in the world, but look what she's done to herself. Beautiful girl.
Yeah.
And she ruined herself. And my cousin Shabaka and I were talking, and I remember, my favorite musical artist is Tupac Shakur. For me, growing up in the 90s, he sort of encapsulated the plight of the young black male at that particular time. For me personally, I can't speak to anybody else, and I love Biggie too. But Pac was more, in line with what I was dealing with.
I was so much of a Pac fan, I wouldn't listen to Biggie.
I was there with you, but my cousin made me listen to Ready to Die one day, and I was like, whoa. Like, he literally was like, cuz, you just got to listen to it. And I listened. I was like, man, this dude. Like, I listened to the whole album from beginning to end. I was like, I'm like, that's between them. Because that's how much of a fan I was. I wouldn't get Biggie the time of day, but when I heard the whole album, I was like, hey, that's between them, man. But yeah, I think Pac saying Lil' Kim was ugly and hit him up.
Yeah.
I think it affected her more than we may realize.
Oh, yeah.
Because Tupac was somebody who women loved. And you got to figure Lil' Kim, for that particular time, maybe had to keep her admiration for him hidden because of the beat. But I think his words might have landed in a particular way when we look at what she did to herself. And so I'm going to do a show at some point on how we need to be careful what we say to each other, because, it's hard to take away words, especially when they out in media.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The words are powerful. From my particular beliefs, words are extremely powerful. You speak things into existence. Yeah. And so if we saying you dark and ugly, somebody's going to hear that, and they're going to respond to it. And so
read what Domo said, because my wife said the same thing.
You got to go look. You got to go. I don't know exactly when, but you can look at the pictures. It's obvious. It's obvious. And another one who did that, which I was hurt, is India Irie. You heard of India Irie?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite.
So
she did the same thing.
Yeah, go look at it.
Oh man, bro, you killing me. But yeah, no, my wife just said the same thing Domo said. He said that it was the lighting. It wasn't that she bleached her skin.
No. No, that's what if you go look at the pictures, you can see it.
Okay, see, and like yeah, my wife said the same thing. So we might have to run that one back.
Yeah, we got to run it back.
So, but yeah, I hope India didn't. Yeah, man, because now I know somebody who actually did it. And because if we incorrect about Serena, I'm happy to be incorrect. So
right. I'll be glad to be incorrect.
Yeah, shout out to Domo and my queen for that correction. What's our brother name? I think he Dominican. Sammy Sosa. That look almost said Sammy Sosa. Yeah, like that. I didn't even know. Somebody showed me a picture, and I think he was with Barry Bonds, and I was like, I say I'm not familiar with the other brother, but you know I didn't watch baseball like that. And being in St. Louis, you know I remember the home run chase, but I was like I don't know who the other dude is. And it was my boss. My boss was like, that's Sammy Sosa. I was like, no, it ain't. Sammy Sosa black. He was like, yeah, that's why I'm showing it to you. And this a white dude showing it to me. I was like, what? That blew me away, man. And I don't know if he addressed it. Like my boss was telling me, he said he had the same thing Michael Jackson said he had. Vitiligo.
Yeah.
So. And I always wonder why people don't try to darken their skin when they say they got vitiligo.
Well, that's what Uncle Ruckus said. He had revitiligo.
Yeah. yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, I'm gonna have to look it up, man. But it's a big thing. I looked in India, like it's a big thing in India. It's big in Africa. So man, it's and I keep hearing people saying this is the race is over with. I remember my son was graduating college. I believe it was 2010, and he told me, he said, "Dad, I think you racist. You just." So he just getting out of college. He was well received in college, and he thought I was extreme. Then he got into the real world. And he said, "Dad, I see what you're talking about. You wasn't being racist. You just keeping it real." Like, yeah.
Hey, believe it or not, so we moved out to O'Fallon, right? Trying to get the kids into a better school, and this is a predominantly white neighborhood. Don't more familiar with O'Fallon, Missouri, and my kids used to say I was racist, and it's funny how being around Europeans changed their opinion of what they thought I was. Right. Like over the course of my daughter, who was a freshman when we first moved out here, versus as she graduated from high school, how the perspective on me being a racist changed over those 4 years. And so it's funny how that go, but yeah, it's like, nah, I ain't racist. I just call a spade a spade.
Right.
You know what I mean? But go finish going in on your son. I ain't mean to cut you off.
No, that was about it. But he realized that I was talking about the covert racism. Like I grew up in California, and I was bused a place called Lakewood. It's still Long Beach. I mean LA County, but Lakewood, just all white people, and they bust us out. So we was like 25% of the school, but we dominated the school. We dominated the sports. We just dominated. So I'm thinking white people cool. Then I got older. I moved to the South, Louisiana, and that's where I realized, man, racism is real. It was real in California, but it was just covert. I kind of like it better in the South, where they right in your face. Whatever you gotta say, I'll say it right back to you. If I'm a sack of shit, you a sack of shit too. They're gonna be right in your face with it. But that's when I realized, man, it's still here. It just, you don't see it as much.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm in a world where in the field of engineering, and let me tell you, we know white people have it. The Latinos, and this is what I'm telling brothers, get into the scientific fields, because the Latinos are taking over. They come in, and these are the Spaniards. I'm not talking about Chico and Jesus and Chewy and them. I'm talking about the Spaniards from Colombia, from Mexico City. They're getting these engineering jobs, and they stick together, and they make sure that the brothers don't get those positions. Even the East Indian, they have a strong influence in engineering, and they stick together. So this idea that we're in a post-racial society is BS. It's complete BS.
Don't let Obama fool you. You saw real quick what the reaction was to so
yeah.
Hey, do me a favor, brother. You got Cash App?
No.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say if you got Cash App, put it in a private chat. I'll throw it up.
No, I don't have it.
Okay.
But it's still here. Now, I'm not making an excuse for it. I'm not saying woe is black people. I'm telling us, let's do our thing. Go out here and do your thing. And it's worth it. It's worth it to go to the, we talk about higher learning. Oh, that's the white man's education. Let me tell you that information is information. What you do with the information is up to you. Take your craft to the highest level. And I mean that to the fullest. Take your craft to the highest level. Don't try to take shortcuts. Don't ever, you know how we do. We try to take a shortcut thinking we getting the hookup. No, do it the right way, get the information, and then you can do what you need to do with it.
Exactly.
That's where we competing at. And this whole thing, we're a post-racial society. We're not. So many of our young people dying in the streets. It's because, and I'm going to say my generation and the generation before, we thought we had it. We thought we was going to start the businesses, but we went out as individuals. And we saw you can't do it by yourself. You have to do it with a team. Learn to work with each other. And do it as a team, do it as a black tribe, as a black culture, as an African American culture, and we will make things happen. Because as I said before, the Latinos, I didn't know they was so much into engineering. They're all over the place where I work at, them and the East Asian, and it's because they had my son went to the University of Houston on the engineering scholarship. And they was begging me to find more people because they was giving away engineering scholarships, but they was giving it to the East Indian, the Chinese, and Latin America. And now those people back in the early 2000s that was getting those degrees, they're now getting to these very powerful positions. And when they're hiring people that speak Spanish, that look like them, and we're getting left out even beyond what white people do. So I'm not trying to be so blackly black, but I am blackity black. Let's do it. Let's do it, black people.
I tell people all the time, look, they be like, that's blackology. Well, then, goddamn it, I got a PhD in blackology. I want to win. Like, because, and people act like we haven't had these people foot on our neck. I'm not against nobody who's not against us.
Right.
But I want black people individually and collectively to win.
Right.
Period. Because and for those who say white people ain't just sitting back, that's fine. I'm not concerned with what they sitting back doing.
Right.
I'm saying that we have been subjugated, degraded, and all manner of mistreatment by a particular group of people, and I'm sick of it, and I want us to win.
Right.
Like, what the hell is wrong? Like when people like critique that, like my man from last night,
yeah,
and you black, it's so weird to me. Like what is your issue with a black man wanting black people to win? Like that is crazy. But you get, and I don't want to call nobody a coon or a sellout, but it's like I don't know what you would call, it's counterproductive and counterintuitive for you to see something wrong with that.
Right.
Like what you mad at me for? Because I ain't worried about Chinese people and European people. They ain't worried about me.
Right.
Like what are you talking about? What about white people? What about them? They seem like they doing fine to me.
Yeah.
Like
they're gonna be okay. They gonna be okay.
Yeah, like what you worried about them for? Like hey bro, these dudes is a trip, but and I mean it's some sisters like that too, but
yeah,
like hey man, and you know they get upset when I say, you know, metaphorically speaking, of course, take that white man ride out your mouth, because you sucking hard right now.
Yeah.
Like I say that my personal philosophy is Black existentialism and Africana critical theory, and they stay up here talking about why would we separate from Black? Who even mentioned separation? Look up what. Then I said, do you know what it means? No, I don't know what it means. So you sitting here critiquing something.
Yeah. You said the magical word Black.
That's exactly what it is. And from existential, he got exclusivity.
Yeah.
And so you sitting up here critiquing something, and you ain't even took the time to see what it means.
Right.
And speaking of Black existentialism, I'm gonna read something to you, and I want you to tell me what you think about it. And this came out in the 70s, and I know you mentioned being buzzed, and so for this to come out in the 70s is particularly profound to me. It's by a brother named William Jones, and it's called "Is God a White Racist?" And it's a preamble to Black theology, because this brother took exception to the fact that Black theologians were making the assertion that God was interceding on behalf of Black people, when we consider what Black people been through, right? Because if this guy was interceding, then we would have to ask when. And so it says Black existential philosophy came to the academy in the 1970s in the work of William R. Jones, who argued for a humanistic response to Black suffering through facing the absurd as found in the thought of Albert Camus and dealing with the contradictions of theological beliefs. Jones drew from existential philosophy to reject non-verifiable claims posed by Black theology, where history is presented as God trying to liberate, I don't know why God would have to try, but presented as God trying to liberate Black people. Historical evidence, Jones suggests, says otherwise. Instead of relying on God, Black people should take their lives and history into their own hands and build a better future for themselves. This is what I'm saying. This is not just to say that Jones took the position that Blacks believe in God. This is not to say that Jones took the position that Blacks who believe in God should not love God. His point is that they should not rely on God for the elimination of injustice on earth. And so I say this in my PowerPoint. It's Jones that I most identify with as it relates to my Black existentialist philosophy. If God, and by God I mean the God of the Abrahamic faiths, if that God actually cares about the well-being of Black people, he has a funny way of showing it. Like Jones, I too question whether the belief in I can't speak right now. Omnipresent, omnipotent, or an omni deity or omni God who has domination over human history and can provide an adequate foundation for the suffering of Black people socially and politically, then that God would have a lot of explaining to do. seeing divine benevolence as part of oppression's mechanism of disguise, Jones argues that Black liberation theologians must adopt a new theism that is informed by humanism and its principle of functional ultimacy and the relationship between the Black man and woman. One where human choice and action determine whether our condition is slavery or freedom. So I hope my fumbling around didn't throw you off too bad. But what you make of that? Because this is ultimately what me and the brother debate will be about. I'm not telling Black people not to believe in God. I'm saying that we can't rely on that God to do jack shit for us. We got to do it ourselves.
Right. Or make it your own, as Garvey was saying. And I know that's taboo. That's because the scripture says, man, if you change one dot, you're cursed with a curse, with a curse. But to me, that's the hocus pocus. I want everybody to look up the word abracadabra. Abracadabra is a Jewish word. It means I create what I speak. That's abracadabra. You know, you see people do the magic tricks with it, but I create what I speak. So if you speak in curses, you're going to get curses. If you believe curses, you're going to get curses. So what the covenant is telling you is, okay, I take an oath to follow this covenant. And if I break it, all these curses will come up. You speaking it. If you break the curses, all these curses I just read will come on me. You doing that. So what the Jewish sages, the elders of this doctrine, they're telling you all the power is in your hand. The phrase Ayah, Asher, Ayah is I will be what I will to be. What you create, what you create will come to pass. So if we're talking negative, if we're talking curses, they're going to come to pass. So we didn't have this belief system that like God is trying to set us free. God is trying to help us out. No, we have to change that. And you have the ability to change that. I don't see a creator that will want you not to have that type of ability. So why not make the belief system within your own image? Even utilize the book. The Bible is fragment. I mean, the Bible is a bunch of different scrolls that a group of people put together and said, this is the canon. Who told them that was the canon? Who gave them the right? How come you can't put together your own scroll that's going to benefit you? We can do it. And if there's a God that's mad at that, then I don't want to be a part of that God. I don't want nothing to do with it.
There you go. There you go. And that's all. Like all that. He want to be separated, and he want to. How far you gonna take it? I'm like, what is he even talking about? I'm sitting here and I'm trying to like take a shower and go on with my day. I wasn't even trying to be a part of the show. That's why I told little bro, hey, you host, dude. I'm not even trying to go there. We'll get to the. You know what I mean?
Funny. I didn't see the whole show. I walked away and I came back and you was going in. What happened? What happened? I didn't even know you was on the show.
I wouldn't. The plan was to let bro, do my co-host who's a Christian. Like this my little bro. Let him handle it. That way we wouldn't have that type of engagement, because I know how it can get with me and Duke. And so I'm like, I'm gonna let bro handle it, and we'll see each other on October 30th, because things can get a little chippy, right? But I'm listening and I'm like, first of all, he talking about I switched up. Okay, what are you talking about? I didn't switch nothing up, because me admiring Kemet and studying Kemet don't make me a Kemetic practitioner. And I've said that a million times. Right. And me defending Kemetic practitioners don't make me a Kemetic practitioner. If I'm going to defend a Christian right to be a Christian, you damn right I'm going to defend a Kemetic practitioner right to be a Kemetic practitioner, especially when you got people with names like Unk and Kansu saying that they shouldn't be a Kemetic practitioner. That don't make dog sense. Right. So I'm just like, so yeah, I'm gonna defend it. And some of the best people I done ever encountered are Kemetic practitioners. So and again, I have a deep admiration for the stories and the myths. And so I'm like, I said that a million times. So what is he talking about? I switched up, because I never said I was a practitioner. And I would think if you want to have a conversation about what's better, Kemetic spirituality or Christianity, you would want to have it with a practitioner. So, okay. Then I'm like, I said, let's talk about Black existentialism. And it's like, okay, now you're saying I switched from Kemetic spirituality to Black existentialism, as if one is a spiritual tradition and the other one is a spiritual tradition. You don't know what you're talking about. And you throwing your little pot shots talking about people who've been knowing him way longer than me say he always switching up. Well, what did I switch from? First of all, so let's just say I was a Kemetic practitioner and I decided not to be, and I just want to focus on Black existentialism, because they got this thing where, because I said I'm agnostic to the existence of a God, that I'm somehow switching ideologies. No, because I'm still agnostic to the existence of a God. If somebody said it wasn't a God, prove it. If somebody say it is one, prove it. That's all I mean. I don't know. And I don't think anybody really knows. I have a gut feeling that what's illustrated in that Bible ain't it though. That's all. But when you say I switched up, what are you talking about? So I'm listening to him and I'm like, okay, so people who knew you long, put an address on it. Let's talk about them people. So when I came in, first thing I said was, hey, real talk. Those people who you say known me longer than you have, that say I switched up, and excuse my language, bro. I don't. We could be the same age. I don't know if you older than me. Like I said, I'll be 46 in 2 weeks. But I don't want to offend you. But I'm just saying what I said. I said they can kiss my whole ass. And so, like, if they talking behind my back in that light, because ain't nobody said it to my face. So from that standpoint, if people who've known me longer than you have, and they talking to you, talking about I switched up and I did this, basically like I'm fake or I'm confused, they can literally kiss my whole ass. So I said that. So then he goes on with his rhetoric, still trying to explain Black existentialism as some kind of religion. So I asked him, what do Black existentialism mean? You tell me. I say, no, you talking about it. You tell me. Okay, I don't know. So you sitting on here talking about something that you don't even know what it is, but you supposed to be coming to a debate. You supposed to have some kind of information to get to the people, but you're talking about something and you don't even know what it is. And people supposed to respect what you got to say. And, you know, I have been saying, metaphorically speaking, you got the European in your backside and in your mouth, right? So he got mad and he say his penis was in my mouth. And I told him, I said, bro, I don't play like that. I said metaphorically speaking. I say, if you want to say metaphorically speaking, I might let you get away with that. But I say, I ain't on here capping for nobody. Like you capping for that European. Like you on online talking about President Trump will survive this when he got his house raided and all this kind of crazy.
Oh no.
Yeah, I kid you not. I kid you not. I love Vladimir Putin because Putin said Africa will only be remembered. No African leader will ever be remembered except for the fact that they was buried outside of Africa. And he talking about, I love Vladimir Putin because he keep it real. Watch these Pan-Africans get triggered. So this is the type of stuff he say. And so that's why I was saying what I was saying. But again, I said metaphorically speaking. I ain't calling you a homo. But when you say you know, and you know, shout out to the people who like that kind of thing. I ain't mad at you. But my point is that ain't me. So when he said his penis was in my mouth, I kindly requested, hey, bro, don't play with me like that. He repeated it, and I went in.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like I thought, because he had mentioned something before I got on the show that I was insecure. So I told him, turn your camera on, and we'll see who insecure. And like I told him, I say, bro, you give me 5 minutes with your chick, and she wouldn't even let you smell like drawers. Like now if you want to get into some NIGGA stuff, let's go, because that's where you want to take it. Like I can go there with you. Like if that's what you want to be on, she wouldn't even let you look at her no more, my dude. If you want to keep playing with me, but I just and I regret it though, even though I'm only rehashing it for the sake of giving it context. But yeah, I just. Like sometimes, and again, this is another example of why we got to be careful what we say, because I do regret it, and I apologize to the brother, you know, afterwards, and I think we good, but it just like, bro, if I like, number one, if you're gonna speak on something, know what you're speaking on. That's number one. Number two, I didn't switch from Kemetic spirituality to being agnostic because I never was a Kemetic practitioner. I never was. I've always been agnostic to the existence of a God, because whether I knew what the label was or not, because I'm firmly saying I don't know, and I ain't got no way to know. Nobody do. That's my opinion. So I've never switched. Black existentialism ain't a religion. It's a philosophy. It's an ideology. It's literally taught in colleges. Africana critical theory.
Right.
So if you're going to speak on a thing, just know what you're talking about. So, yeah, I got in my bag, and that's why I came in and said I apologize to the family last night, because I was like, I thought about everything I said to. I was like, oh man, like I was talking like I was 25 again.
Yeah,
so, you know.
I mean, we get there, and I know my daughter wants to come in. If anybody have any questions.
Yeah, let me drop this link in the chat.
Hold on a second. Let me get it. Hold on.
Okay. And as I always say, family, hey, we got kids, we real people. So if you bothered by the fact that the brother got a daughter, hey, go somewhere else. Because this is what it is. We real people with real lives and real families. So if that's a problem for you, this ain't the channel for you. So otherwise, stick around. We appreciate you. But I'm gonna drop the link in the chat. We're gonna take probably maybe 3 to 5 people, no more than that, because the brother do got to tend to his family and his daughters. So we're gonna keep it to about 3 to 5. Not gonna do a whole lot of back and forth unless it's a conversation that the brother really want to engage in and address. But otherwise, we just gonna get in and get out, so the brother can get on with his day. We're approaching that 2-hour mark, so we'll do it like that. So the link is going in the chat. Shout out to my little brother Rocky in the building. Appreciate it. Hey, that's a powerful young brother. I don't even know if he's 25 yet, but if you ever get an opportunity to build with him, build with him. Like that's like when we talk about like young people and how, you know, things sort of seem like it's going on a down slope, that brother had you like, all right, we gonna be all right.
Right. And I see it as diamonds in the rough. Diamonds in the rough. You know, it's quality over quantity right now. Quality over quantity. And then that the world, like, I'm part of the conscious community. I know people, I ain't in no conscious community. Hey, That's where my people at. That's where I'm at. You know, it's rough. We got some charlatans out there, but the true gems got to start to shine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we gotta get behind people that wants to showcase what it means to be Black consciousness.
Yeah, and I feel like we gotta, when you see a brother like Rocky or Craig in the Dagger Squad, any of these young brothers who putting their best foot forward, because they can be doing a whole lot of destructive shit out here.
Oh,
so
yeah.
when we see them out here doing positive things, we need to promote that, because they could easily get drugged into a whole bunch of other stuff. Like, because when I was their age, the last thing I was doing was trying to get into some conscious information and educate our people. I was doing just the opposite. I was indulging in my lower self as often as I possibly could. So I'm proud to know them young brothers, because it's like if I had no concept of what they own at that age, no concept. So
and that's another thing people don't understand. This consciousness thing developed. I mean, it like you said, Stephen Biko, he started it, but it took off the YouTube age, so it's fairly new. This thing is new. That's why you have so many people, like a lot of the people that were abos. I mean, people who are abos now, Aboriginal. They was Pan-Africans and Comedics 5 years ago. Because it's so new and so fresh, you're going to have people going in and out and changing and drifting. But it's a real thing. Like people, when they know I'm a Pan-Africanist, they would say, well, how come you're not in Africa? How come you didn't go back to Africa? Well, Pan-Africanism don't require you to go back to Africa. Right. That's an option if you want to go back. But you can do things right here and make things better right here. But your worldview is in this African struggle, the upliftment of African people. I don't care if somebody in Africa don't like Americans. I don't care about that. I don't like him. It doesn't take away the fact I'm still African and I still need to connect with Africans globally. It makes us a better people, a stronger people. And that's all to it.
Real talk.
But right here at home, I'm Black American. I'm down for Black Americans. First and foremost, we got to take care of what we need to take care of right here, foremost, and then we can spread it across the world. But if there's any contact I can do with somebody in Haiti, on the west coast of Africa, Brazil, Black people in Brazil, let's do it. Anything we can to make our lives better.
And real quick before we get to our brother, did we address the question of like what do we say when people say things like, you skipping over West Africa, or why because you talked about how people said your name, one part of your name was West Africa, the other part was South Africa, and they want to kind of like make you as a diaspora born African sort of capitulate to one part of Africa,
right?
And when as a diaspora born African, and you practicing Sankofa and trying to reconnect to Africa, you can't put me in one African box. Now, if you're talking to somebody from West Africa, talk to them about why they skipped over West Africa and went wherever. But me, you can't really put me in that box. I'm going wherever on the continent I can to get some culture that speaks to me.
Right.
But what's your thoughts on that? And then our brother here to build with you.
Okay. Yeah. I get that a lot. Or just pick one tribe. What tribe you from? Like, brother, I'm not from one tribe. You don't even understand what happened to us. So I take I'm the type of African where I'm taking the best of African cultures, and I'm synchronizing it with my environment. So if I see something really, some from the Fulani that I like, I'm taking it, I'm using it. If I see something in Kemet that I like, I'm using it. And that's what it is. And I think that's what gives the African in America so much potential. Because in honesty, we started this Pan-African. We have the potential because we are rebuilding ourselves. We are rebuilding ourselves. And so this thing about why Kemet, that's coming up a lot. Why Kemet? But when you hear people talk about ancient Greece, the classical civilization, and they're from Ireland or they're from Spain, they have nothing to do with Greece. But they're talking about, nobody's telling them why a Scotsman talking about Greece.
Facts.
It's that simple. But again, when you put black on something, when you put African on something, it's scrutinized down to the nugget.
Exactly. And we the only people that do that. I've never heard the people who would talk to me and you about why we study Kemet ask these classes or these schools why they curriculum only talk about Greeks and Rome.
Right.
But they want to talk to us about why we study Kemet. Right. Like it amazes me how black people try to put other black people in a box. It's like all the hubbub about the movie The Woman King. When Gladiator came out, I didn't hear one white person saying, oh, that's not how Marcus Aurelius really was, and that's not how Commodus really was. Those were historical figures, though. Even though the main character, Maximus Decimus Meridius, was a fictional character, Marcus Aurelius was a historical character. So was the son Commodus. But nobody balked at how they were portrayed in the movie because they knew it was what we would call historical fiction. But and when we deal with the Woman King and we dealing with Africa, everybody and their mama got something to say about this portrayal of these Africans, be it historical fiction or the factual elements of it. And when The Patriot came out with Mel Gibson, we didn't see that. When Braveheart came out, we know that ain't how William Wallace's story went exactly. But I didn't hear one white person saying, "Oh my God, how could they do that?" William Wallace, like you just didn't hear it, and so it's like, why is we always the ones that gotta whine and cry?
Right.
When something come out that's depicting us in a positive light.
You know, Apocalypto.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't hear a bunch of Indians say, "Man, that's not how they did it." I'm boycotting that movie. Why, when you put Africanness onto something, it's got to be perfect. It's got to get extra. We can't have an imagination for some reason.
No. It's crazy, bro. And I'm gonna tell you what it is, and then I'm gonna let you and our brother Bill for a bit.
Yeah, that's my Darkside brother.
As I've been saying this since I read this a while back. This is what Frantz Fanon calls an existential deviation, where as a result of the removal of language and culture of origin, the Black individual and the Black collective have had to simultaneously define and redefine identity, culture, and existence. And this is why we have Hebrews, Moors, Aborigines, the tribe of Shabazz, and all of these different made up identities and made up existences within our construct right here because of this existential deviation that we gotta come to terms with. That's why I say the brother was so on point in so many ways. But for those who haven't, please delve into the work of our ancestor Frantz Fanon. But y'all go ahead and build, man. And then once you get done with that, we got somebody on the screen who got a question. Peace to you, my brother.
What's up, P? What's up, Nyame? Power to the dark side.
Power to the dark side.
You got it. And hey, before y'all go on, I gotta do it real quick.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
Go ahead.
And I got one question for you, Nyame.
Yeah, what's up?
And I want to know your real, true feelings on this one. How do you feel about the love doctrine?
You know how I feel.
Do you think the love doctrine will cure white supremacy?
No, okay. The love doctrine. Man, I wish I had that quote. Dr. King, and I love Dr. King. I'm not an anti-Dr. King man. He was brave, he was bold, but that love doctrine is no bueno for the love doctrine.
I agree, bro.
He was saying that we are gonna love the white man until he loves us back. But that's like telling a woman who's being beaten, or are you telling your daughter who's being beaten by her husband, you just stay there and you take that ass whooping and you keep loving them. Right. And eventually your love is gonna make him stop beating on you.
Right.
No father would do that.
Right.
You'd be like, you put your hands on my daughter again, you gonna deal with me.
Facts.
That's what, and people don't understand the Black Power movement. The Black Power crowd don't get enough credit.
Yeah.
They passed the bill. They passed the 1964 Civil Rights Act. And it was just a passed bill.
Yeah.
Nothing was happening.
Yeah.
Then the youth start taking to the street. And that's when they was screaming Black Power. Now, we took all these beatings and nothing has changed. Now we take it to the streets. And then that's when the government say, oh, y'all serious about this, huh? So that's when they start calling in the police to protect, black citizens. Mm-hmm. After the Black Power movement said we had enough, we're not taking no more beatings.
Right.
But King gets all the credit. But people like Kwame Ture or Stokely Carmichael, he was right there in the boycotts, the nonviolent marches. But he was saying, even though you get the laws passed, there's nothing to make them change.
Right.
The only thing that's going to make them change is when we act in a way of power.
Right.
We have to show our power, then they're going to respond. So the love doctrine, the example I always use is that example. If your daughter was getting beat, you wouldn't tell her just love him. Let him beat your ass until he loves you back.
Now I'm gonna say this because now, and I'm a big Dr. King dude in that I just admire his intelligence and the fact that he put himself out there. We're in the forefront for our people. I don't agree with. I never agree with nobody talking about nonviolence. Because I couldn't do it. So there's no way I could capitulate to it. Because if you hit me, I'm gonna try to knock your goddamn head off. But
hey Pete, let me ask you real quick. How do you feel about these grown ass men walking around here talking about we need Jesus to come back to help us defeat white supremacy and their technology?
Hey, listen,
it's psychology.
Listen.
But what would that do for a woman? Like I asked my wife that. I said, if I told you I needed Jesus to come back to help defeat somebody that broke in our house, what would you say?
Right.
Bro, I look at them like they crazy and walk away from them.
And that's what your wife would do.
Yeah.
If Jesus was worried about, like if Jesus is everything people who believe in Jesus say he is, and he cared about white supremacy, it would be over with, right?
Right.
So clearly, either he ain't what you say he is, or he ain't tripping off what's been done to our people throughout all these centuries.
And
it's one of them. He ain't what you say he is, or he don't get too shits about us.
I look at it as an excuse. Because like I said, we done try everything under the sun to combat what's happening to us. But one thing, and like Nyame say, a show of power is what we need. You know, it's unfortunate, but it has to happen.
But this is where I got to disagree with you, though, bro. And I'm gonna say this like this. This is why I say Dr. King has some genius to him. Because with regards to the nonviolence approach, here's why it worked for a particular time. I don't think it could have continued to work, because even he said men and women start straightening their backs out, because when you straighten your backs out, people can't ride you, right? But the point being that I think that when they put that on television, how these people who were not attacking anybody were being attacked, were having dogs, were having fire hoses put on them, and they were not aggressive. They weren't doing it, and a matter of fact, they didn't even fight back. When places that wouldn't in the South in the United States, that was kind of removed from what was going on, saw that. When people around the world who America was trying to hold to a certain moral standard saw that, and they saw the hypocrisy of this country, they was like, hold up, you trying to tell us how to conduct ourselves, and look what you doing to your citizens. That was the genius of what Dr. King did. Now, once America's hypocrisy was exposed, I felt like that was the time to take up arms and fight back. But he continued that model because it had so much success. And it's like it almost went to everybody's head. And it's like, nah, that was the time to say, okay, we ain't taking it no more.
Right.
But I think that from that particular standpoint, I think it was genius exposing the hypocrisy. Moving forward is where I think it got a little crazy. But with regards to us all just taking up arms, that just give them an excuse. They shoot us when we ain't got no gun. Right. So when we ain't even no threat, they shooting us. Like a fat racist coward can follow Trayvon Martin, even though the 911 call he made, this chick told him, we don't need you to do that. This bastard can follow this boy, confront him, and murder him and get away with it. Right. And so in a country where that can happen, they don't need an excuse to mow us down. So now we take up arms, and we only 15% of the population?
I think that's a lie, though, bro.
Okay, so but are you willing to take a chance in us being exterminated to prove a point? Well, because that's what could happen. If we take up arms, they ain't taking that laying down, and we the minority.
But they done dropped bombs on us. They done did everything. We ain't went nowhere. But what I'm saying is, as far as our children, how long are we gonna go letting our children be subjugated to the white man's foot on our neck? Like, it's got to come to a point where we say no. I mean, the children ain't got to fight. The women ain't got to fight. They will still be here. But as a black man, I think we are obligated to at least want our own shit, or to respect us in a land that ain't our shit. And the only way we gonna get that done, to me, is if we confront it head on. Like, all of this, we ain't gonna science our way out of this. We ain't gonna money our way out of this. We ain't gonna talk our way out of this.
See, now this is where we disagree, because I understand exactly what you're saying, but this is the one thing that these people do respect. They don't respect black. They don't even respect white, for real. But what they do respect is green. See, if you're in a particular economic situation, they can't. It's a certain level of unfuckwittable that you attain with regards to them being able to deal with you a certain way and treat you with a particular amount of respect that they can't treat other people with. And I gave an example the other day. and this not. I got one with the police, and then I got one with the electric company. So where I'm from, me and my wife talk about this all the time. Where we grew up, electric people come to your house. If you can get the money, they'll tell you, "Hey, we got to cut it off."
Right.
But if you can pay it, they'll send somebody else to cut it back on by a certain time, right? Yeah. So, coming from those days where I used to have to go donate plasma just to put food on the table for that day, we really well acquainted with that situation, right?
Right.
So we didn't got our weight up a little bit, and we out here in a mostly white neighborhood, predominantly white. And so my wife called me a while back, and she said, "Baby, I forgot to pay the electric bill, and we got a disconnection notice. I ain't even know." And I was like, "Dad, did you pay it?" She was like, "They came to cut it off." And I was like, "Oh, damn." I'm like, "You need me to leave work and go pay it so they can come cut it back on?" She was like, "He didn't even cut it off. He just said, just pay it."
Right, yeah.
I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
And she was and listen, it may seem small to a lot of people, but when you've seen your parents, your grandparents, if you me, because I grew up with my grandmother, and you've experienced this multiple times, and then these jokers come to your house and it's unpaid, they there to cut it off, and he say, "Just pay it," even though you know you can, we still sitting up here like, if that was our old crib, like we bugged out. I'm still bugged out by it. Mm-hmm. Same thing. I had my front light was out, and I got a Lexus ES 350. It's a hassle. It's a hassle getting the light, and it's a hassle putting that some bitch on. So I got the light in my trunk. I just ain't bothered to deal with putting it on, right?
Right.
So, bro, I rode for this. The light went out in the car wash in like July. I rode till December when it was time to renew my plates. The only reason I got it fixed is because I had to get a safety inspection. I'm talking about I went all ghetto with this shit. And my point being, I got pulled over twice and get an ticket. Now, just like I know, if I got pulled over where I was from, I'd have got a ticket each time I got pulled over.
Yeah.
Never mind, I would have got pulled over with regards to like anytime they saw me, I would have got pulled over. But I'm passing these cops, these 5-0 on an everyday basis. Like you gotta pass they police department and they justice center just to get on the highway. So I'm passing every day, and they ain't even messing with me based on where we live. And that's what it kind of clicked for us. Like, it's where we live.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that's why I say it's about green with these people. They still would hate us. They still wouldn't like us. But if we figure out that economic thing, we can deal with them on a particular level because that's the color they respect. Now that's just my opinion. And I understand exactly where you're coming from and how you get to that place because you get sick of it. When I first moved out here, I walked my son to school every day. Yeah. Because I was that, worried about, because he a bigger kid, he 15 and he big as me. We've been out here 5 years, but he big as me now. And I still be like, "No, you ain't walking nowhere by yourself," because I don't trust these people. Right. And so I feel where you're coming from. I just think we got to be strategic about how we navigate this thing, because if it turn into conflict, we, as far as we know, we outnumbered. Now, if our numbers are better than we think they are, that's one thing. But we need to know that for sure.
I mean, I just look at being over here. A million. How many slaves they say came over here? 2 million.
Something like that.
And over what, a 200-year period, bro, like 42 million African Americans in the United States is a lie. That's got to be a lie. And we have baby.
But did the whole 200 million come to the continental United States? Is that including the Caribbean, South America, Central? You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying, but I'm saying over 200 years span. You telling me it's only 42 million people, black people in America? That's not, no. That the census is a lie. But I'm not even saying pick up arms, bro. I'm saying
I'm gonna let you go real quick. I was just explaining to my brothers, we ain't even do the census. I forgot. My wife thought I did it. I thought she did it. So
yeah, my point exactly.
You see what I mean? So I'm with you on that. Go ahead.
Yeah. But I'm saying, you know, it's got to come like for black men, and this is what I'm concerned about because I see the black man being feminized and all of this shit, man. Soon we won't have no army. We won't have no way to combat this shit if it really came down to it. And I think now is the time for us, even if we don't pick up arms, we got to show unity in some kind of way. And all of this back and forth about the Bible, science, fucking Egypt, and all of this, man, is the biggest distraction from us doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care what religion you are. As long as you got my back in that foxhole, that's all I care about. You know what I'm saying? Brothers out here, they take this stuff literally, and like Nyame was saying, it come from a deep hate within of not wanting to identify with the continent of Africa. Now everybody will say, well, it ain't the name. Well, that landmass then. But we know that's where we come from. As a melanated people all over the world, it was one place they migrated from. And you just can't get around that. But I don't know, man. I just think as for the black man today in 2022, I think we need to get more focused on our survival.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with you on that feminization of black men. And that, again, that's another reason, like the brother you see on the screen at 25 and other brothers like him, like these young cats, it's important to promote them and encourage them because if they can get them and somehow make them capitulate to their line of thinking, or as you say, feminize them or put them in jail or kill them.
Right.
Or people or like my son, 15 years old, we done.
Right.
So, you know, because it's either conform, die, or be emasculated, effeminate, all of these things. Like it's these strategies. This is what I was trying to explain to the brother from last night. He was talking about black people don't want to do this, black people don't want to do that. This was after we got everything back straight. And I was telling them it's reasons why, you know, it's one thing for somebody to just be lazy. It's another thing to look at what was done strategically to our communities.
That's a fact.
Whether you look at how they used the welfare system as a means of separating black men, black women, right, and how that perpetuated itself. Because if you take me out this home with my woman and my children, and then because it benefits her, so in a lot of ways we thinking it's gonna benefit us, we gonna still be together. But then you sending somebody to our house to make sure I ain't there. Then you ain't doing that. You ain't doing that to white folk, right? Like that, because they on welfare too. But then you turn around and you put me out the house. Our relationship becomes strained. So now, not only am I out of the house, but we no longer in a relationship. What happens? Now she put me on child support. Right. Now I've cultivated a relationship with another woman, and now I have a second set of children with another woman. That may work out, it may not. But now I got children over here and children over here. I may get married, I may not. My father found himself in that situation. So my mother and my father never got married. That's why I tell people all the time, they talk about broken homes. My home was never intact. If that means your parents had to be married, I've been a bastard. Right. So in terms of how society views what a bastard is or what's illegitimate, so you got that standpoint with pushing black men out the home.
Right.
We see how we got liquor stores on every corner. Everybody know that narrative, but it's a fact. We got a liquor store on every corner. We know how it's been documented, how they systematically put drugs in our neighborhoods. And people always say, well, you ain't have to take the drugs and you ain't have to sell the drugs. But when you in abject poverty and you see a way for you to not only just get out of poverty, but to actually live well, and all you got to do is make a crack sale. It ain't even really nothing to think about.
Yeah, that's
right. And so now you turn around, you systematically put these drugs in our neighborhood, and then you start a war on drugs for the drugs you put in our neighborhood. And again, when people say this ain't a racial thing, you a lie. It is a racial thing because it's a war on drugs. When it's the drugs you gave us, we get disproportionately more times than our white and Latino counterparts, again, for the drugs you gave us. You don't give a shit about the user or the distributor. They are treated the same. But when drugs went in them white neighborhoods, because my brother on there talking about accountability can't be overlooked. Well, then if accountability can't be overlooked for us, it shouldn't be overlooked for them. But in their neighborhoods, it's an epidemic. It ain't no goddamn war on drugs in their neighborhood. It's an epidemic that got to be treated. But for us, it's a war. So I don't want to hear that accountability shit. But go ahead, bro.
Just look at this. How about you having drugs in the neighborhood on top of the church? Like, that's the worst drug you could have ever put in our neighborhoods. Is that fucking church? In that
right by the liquor store.
Right by the liquor store. So
you docile and you drunk.
And you drunk. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get how we can start to instill self into our black men anymore. Like, I'm a proponent of, I call it my three guys: self-reliance, self-esteem, and self-assuredness. Because that's all I'm about. I'm about me. And now people will say, well, that sounds selfish. Well, thank you. That's a compliment, because how can I fill your cup if I can't fill mine? You know what I'm saying? So I'm a big proponent of self. And I just look at the black man today. He is not self-confident at all. He don't even believe in himself. You got to have something outside of you in the sky, sitting on the throne with an ass and arms and legs and shit to believe in, to even have a little confidence. No, you are that power. You are a part of that power. And I just look and say, listen, once we lose self-awareness of who we are, and I ain't talking about African or no ethnicities or nothing like that. When you look in the mirror, are you confident? Or when you get up, do you know you gonna control the day? And a lot of us don't know that, man. A lot of us don't know that.
If you don't get up and go get it, it ain't getting got.
Right.
I don't give a damn who you pray to.
Right.
I don't give a damn who you think God is. If you don't get up and go get it, it ain't getting got, Doc.
Hey, look, when I was in jail, I used to see these niggas grab that Bible, and I'll be sitting there, I'll be like, dude, you praying for God to let you out of here? You know you ain't getting the fuck out of here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And a month later, you still doing it, huh? You know you ain't going nowhere. Once they say you got a sentence, nigga, you're sentenced. And ain't no God coming down and opening them doors. And we gotta look at this shit like that.
Yeah, like, my uncle used to say, like, the gods would come to, talking about the 5%ers would come to him in jail. He'd be like, hey, listen, if you want me to join you, you can prove you God. Open them doors. He's like, once they couldn't do that, he walked away from
That's messed up.
Oh man.
Yeah, man. But
I see Nimrod. I gotta go in a minute.
Yeah,
you got a question.
Let me get the Lex. But hey, Lex, before you start though, first everybody read the question on the screen, and especially you, Nyame. It was more so for you, but and then we gonna go to Lex.
Oh man, I thought you had answered it earlier, but absolutely. I mean, France phenomenal. I love the Wretched of the Earth. What is it? Blackface.
Blackface is white mask.
White, yeah. Just so that, and we need to, especially like the young brother, take his works and update them. We can't just let these great master teachers just go to the wayside. We take their works and we upgrade. What does that mean for the youth today?
Yeah.
How does that apply to us? Just like Brother Kofi was saying, so many men turn to Kevin Samuels, which was funny. I mean, if you just think about it, I don't prescribe to none of what he was saying, but young black men are looking for something.
They are.
And he represented something. Now, is he the idea of the black man that I would say we need? No. But the fact that they chose him is kind of funny. But young black men are looking for an example of what is the manhood in this world today. Are we living in a post-racial society? What is going on? Am I wrong for getting with a white woman? It's not really being talked about. The young people are just kind of living their lives, not understanding that, yeah, we're being programmed to be integrated into a white society. Yeah. Not white people are trying to come into our society and they're trying to work with. No, they're trying to create us to where we fit into their society. I mean, if you look at somebody like Dwayne Wade, remarkable athlete, and this is nothing against his son, but you wouldn't think he would have a son like that. But to me, society is dictating to the next generation, hey, your masculinity, your manliness is not needed in this society. We don't want black masculinity. We don't want whatever black masculinity looked like. We're gonna, what they call it, cancel it.
There you go.
You want to be the opposite.
Or call it toxic.
Oh, yeah, we don't want no toxic. Yeah, black masculinity is toxic, period. Without,
Yeah, we don't a bunch of Lawrence Taylors walking around here.
But not understanding what it means to be a black masculine man has a lot to do with nurturing our sons. People don't understand that part about it. So a part of our acculturation into this society, into integrated society, is to lose our blackness. And Franz Fanon was kind of touching that in his day and time. But we need a synopsis of right now. What does that mean to be black and male or black and female in 2022? So I would agree that, it speaks to what Franz Fanon was talking about.
Absolutely. And before we get to our brother Nimrod, it's amazing what having a strong black role model will do for a young black man. I used to get my wife's young cousins, and this was before my son was born. They all grown now and in various levels of life. Some of them, in the streets, some of them, one of them in the Navy, and, just various different paths. But all of them talk about how I used to get them, bring them to the house, you know, we get on the trampoline and have wrestling matches. And I used to buy championship belts and, you know, just, you know, get them together as boys and let them be boys. Because, you know, a lot of them had single mothers or, you know, they had 2-parent homes, but, you know, their parents was older and just didn't have the energy to do, you know, what I was going to let them run around and do, you know, for that weekend. But they, you know, I was talking to one on Instagram and he was like, I appreciate, you know, what you've been in my life. And it was like, okay, you know, I appreciate that. And, you know, when you talk to another one, he say the same thing. And it's like, man, that really affected them and they really appreciated it. And it's like, I'm just doing it just being me. And then I look at my relationship with my son and how close we are. To the point where the boy really ain't even got no friends, but it's like you gotta provide that guidance and that role model for our youth, and it's of the utmost importance. And again, that's I always promote brothers like Rocky and Craig and my younger brothers, because I think in a world where they viewed so negatively and as we said, toxic, I'ma always let them know you a shining light in our community. You are the SUN of our community. So but before you go on, Lex, I gotta play this real quick and then just go in, bro.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
It's on you.
Oh man, nah, I'm just tuning in, man. I seen the guards on the panel. What's good? What's up, Yummy? What's up, DMG? What up, Kof?
What up, Lex?
You got it.
What's up?
What was the main topic?
This was just Nyame first time coming on the channel, so we chopped it up about various things. Yeah, just getting a little bit of background on him and, you know, just sharing some stories.
Yeah, man, all I gotta say is, man, kill all the Christians, Muslims, and Jews, man. Black African power. Power to the dark side. You know,
boy, you killed him the other night, nigga. You killed him.
Down to, man. I ain't even gonna water it down for y'all, man.
Wait, Kofi, what happened to the love doctrine?
Oh my God. That went out the window the other night.
In love, hey, do it in love. See? Yes. Yeah, you know, love, sometimes love will cause you to, you know, out of love, you know what I mean? You might have to kill somebody.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
So yeah, then, you know, y'all know how now I'm kind of being a little facetious. Not really, but that's what it comes down to, man, when we have these, I think, conversations about Black people's liberation. I know it gets redundant. As long as we're Christians, Muslims, and Jews, you will be slaves forever. Ever. It just, you know, that's the bottom line, because it's your perspective on life, right, your outlook of life. And so when you take somebody else's perspective on, you automatically are going against yourself. And I know a lot of people believe we can, I thought so too, like we can all get along. We can do the Garvey thing. No, it's never going to work. Never. The region, you know, Africa is 70% Christian and damn near the other 30 is Muslim. And we still want to get around that elephant in the room and be like, well, it's okay. You know, anybody, like when somebody said, like when you were talking earlier, I heard you saying, talk about like the war on drugs and our relationship between the Europeans, and lo and behold, a Christian, well, you got to be held accountable too. And it's like, it's true, but you can't have a certain amount of cultural and racial pride if you're a Christian, Muslim, or Jew, because you can't focus on your own people in the social dynamic, you know, structure. So,
that's a good point, man. Because, hey, you just You just say that for me one more time, because I've been trying to figure out why when you point out a strategic plan that took place with regards to your people being targeted and that plan being executed, somebody will always come back with a counter measure as to why it somehow reflects back on your people. I never understand that, but what you just said, that's it.
Yeah, and you can never have, because your identity is not so-called black first or whatever you are. Your identity is Christ. That's who you belong to. See what I'm saying? Right. So, and you're not even a citizen of the earth. You're a citizen of the heavenly kingdom. See what I'm saying? All that type of stuff. And so
can you be a pro-black Christian?
No. Can't be a pro-black Christian. I mean, some people will say tough. Yeah, some people will say yeah, and they'll give examples, but no, I'm saying that ultimately, when it's all expressed at the end, no, it's going to be a conflict. You can't be a pro-black Christian, Muslim, or Jew, because those religions are not culturally pro-black. I mean, and people can argue with that all they want in their personal beliefs, but what I know, everything manifests politically, socially, and politically. And when we see the religion of Christianity and Islam, it is by nature keeps attacking African people, and not just African, any non-Eurasian people. So until I see the evidence, you know what I'm saying, different, no. Now, an individual can sit around all day, because you'll have Christians to be like, well, no, that's not real Christianity. And I beg to differ. I think you got the fake Christianity. They got the real one. Because the real one says, kick your ass, heathen. See, that's real Christianity, that Roman stuff. So, yeah, man. But peace, I got a question. Nyame, what do you think about can we get over the religious part with black people and really be at our ultimate operative function?
I don't think it's going anywhere no time soon, but I think, and I know people hate when I talk like this, but I think the elite of black people, it won't be a religious movement. Like the elite leaders, they won't be following any Christianity, Islam, or anything like that. It's going to be more of a humanist movement. You're going to take it. That's how I feel, because the way the world is going, the world is going to be very scientific, very logical based, and to compete on those levels. Now, you can have your foundation could be spiritual, but as far as the programs, the social identity, it cannot be backed by any type of religion. You cannot be held down by any type of dogmatic beliefs, or you're going to be left behind.
Facts. That's what's up, man. But peace, DMG, Kofi, and Nyame, man. Power to the dark side.
Power to the dark side. I got a room. I promise my wife 3 o'clock. I'll be done.
Okay. Hey, we'll close out, bro. Tell us where we can find you. If you got a social media, YouTube channel, any of that stuff that you want to share with the people, and when we can get back at you, and then of course I'll be reaching back to you to come back on as well.
Oh yeah, and that challenge is still out.
No doubt, and repeat that challenge too, because I want to make sure people get.
According to the Bible, the global flood, Noah's Ark, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. They was all around 2500 BC. I will give you 500 years plus or minus from 25. So you can go up to 3,000 or you can go down to 2,000, whatever you want. Just come back with the chronology and show me the evidence behind it. I'm talking to those apologists. Anyone, show me the evidence behind that, and we'll start there. I don't want to know about the documentary hypothesis or the Leningrad scroll that they found. I want to know about that time period, the foundation of everything that you believe. I want to see the evidence of that. I don't want to go back 10,000 years to what carved out the Grand Canyon. I want the chronology according to your scriptures, which I know is going to put it around 2500 BC. Like I say, I give you plus or minus 500 years. Just come back with some type of evidence, and then we can dialogue from there. But with that, family, I will say peace. I enjoyed it. Peace and Black Power, family.
Peace and Black Power. We definitely enjoyed you, brother, and looking forward to having you come back on and build with you. I'm gonna send you out with one more of these, and like I say, I'll be reaching out to you again soon.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
Salute to you, King.
Peace, peace.
All right, family. So our brother is out of here. I'm gonna say this with regards to the movie, the Woman King and the slave trade in Africa. This is my position. I think that I appreciate you, Brother Ray. I ain't seen you in a minute. I appreciate you. This is my position. I think that if we're gonna be people who are trying to reconnect with Africa, if you're not, then cool. You know, you got your stance, I got mine. But I personally am trying to reconnect to Africa in a centralized way, and so I look at the nuances of our plight with regards to our interaction with the European, and so one thing we got to do is, first and foremost, we got to put respect on African names. So you get these people who always say Africa sold Africans. Okay, we don't do that with Europeans though. When it comes to slavery, we don't even do that with Native Americans. But they had each other in slavery too, because that's a part of the human existence on this planet. You have conflicts over resources, and the winner takes the loser captive, and they take the women as the fruits of winning that conflict, and the men are often killed or enslaved. Period. And those children are probably killed or enslaved because you took them women so you could start making your own children. That's just what it is. And so this happened all over the world, not just Africa. But when we talk about Europeans, we say Rome enslaved Gaul, they enslaved Thrace, Germanica, Britannia, and all of these other European countries, right? We put respect on their names. We name them. We don't say Europeans enslaved Europeans. But with Africa, we say Africans enslaved Africans. But the reality is it's more complicated than that, because these were different people with different cultures, different social constructs, spiritualities, etc. And so when whoever lost became the captive of the winner. And when the European came with their guns and their other supplies, those captives were traded for those supplies. Here's what's important, though. Those supplies, particularly the guns, became very important because they became key factors in those conflicts. So if you didn't trade with that European, what happened to you? You became the people that was getting traded because the people who had the guns was going to beat the people who had the spears and the leather shields. That's a fact. Come to me with a leather shield and a machete, and I got a gat. So you best be participating in this thing or you're going to get your ass whooped. Because we act like this was about just getting rich. This was about motherfucking survival. Like it, love it, be indifferent to it. If you fuck with Africa, and some of us do, some of us don't. But if you fuck with Africa, fuck with the good, the bad, and the ugly of the shit. And Africa got an ugly history just like every other place. Period. So this ain't no, it just like America history ain't all cupcakes and sunshine, neither is Africa. So you either with the shit or you ain't. Like I ain't gotta make up no fucking fairy tale about the shit. This was about survival. And you either got down or you laid the fuck down. Period. So if I'm I'm country X and country Z just traded their captives, some of which was my people and some of which was probably some people from another country or village, tribe, whatever, to the European for guns. And the European come to me for trade, and I know they got guns, and I know we about to go at it over whatever resource I got, whether it's coconut oil or mangoes, whatever the fuck it is. We about to go at it for it. And they got guns from this European, and I ain't got none. But the European, they want my captives. Take these captives and give me that gun. Because when that other tribe or that other country with guns come for me, I best have guns too. Simple. Like this ain't fucking trigonometry, my G. It's as simple as that. It was survival. This wouldn't, we talk about evil and wicked and all of this. It's eat or be eaten. Because guess what? If the world ends tomorrow, I'm talking Walking Dead, World War III, whatever the hell it is, and it's my family and the next black family, and this larger group than us come and they say, I need 12 girls. And it's me, my son, and Black Lion and his son, and Sabio and his brother, and then my wife and my 4 daughters, my granddaughter, and my niece. But I got men with me. And then it's 2 sisters, and they 10 nieces and daughters and whatever. Who y'all think going? We all black. We all African. But who y'all think going? Y'all think it's going to be mine? Who getting traded? Because I'm trying to survive. And I'm trying to make sure mines survive. I'm sorry for the sisters, but they ain't taking mine. Period. And I'm saying these are people I know. I ain't even got no conflict with them. But when it comes down to survival, you do what you got to do. Period. And this was survival. kill or be killed, get down, lay down. I don't care what idiom you put on it. I got to get what they getting, or they are going to defeat me. And I'm going to be the person being shipped wherever the hell these white people are shipping these people. So yeah, they got rich, they got money, they got whatever. But they also had to survive, because if they didn't participate, it was going to be their ass on the chopping block. Simple as that. And I ain't saying like it. I'm saying understand it. Just like you understand the nuances of every other civilization, understand the nuances of the civilization that you descend from. That's it. I ain't trying to, get nobody to feel all warm and fuzzy inside about none of this shit that happened. I'm just saying, give it the proper context and look at it for the nuanced situation it was, instead of like all this crying and moaning. They was evil, and like, look, at the end of the day, when it come down to trying to survive, you do what you got to do. Let's put the onus on who it need to be on, the people who came up with this institution. Because let's be clear, slavery in the antebellum South and slavery everywhere else wasn't the same. Hence why history calls it the peculiar institution. Because people all around the world was looking at this thing like, what the fuck is these people doing? Where the hell do they do that at? Slavery had been a thing as long as people existed. But the way white people in the antebellum South of the United States did it was different. Period. Let's put the onus on who it need to go on, instead of focusing on nuanced politics and economic, socio-economic situations in countries and kingdoms that have long since dissipated. But this has been your brother, DMG the Poet, aka Pianki Patah Muntu Neferamun Ra. And that's peace, family. Shout out to Nyame for blessing the platform. We've been on a little bit of a roll. I hope we can keep it going. Shout out to everybody in the chat who joined us. And we hope y'all being edutained. And, we're going to try to keep it popping for y'all. Once again, my apologies for what went down with the brother Steven last night. I am prone to get in my bag sometimes, but, I'm hoping to do better. When you know better, you do better. And I try to get better every day. So my apologies. But with that being said, we out of here, family. I'm gonna take us out with a little song from my little bro. Y'all know him as Nobody from Trust and Believe the Gospel. And enjoy.
If you've been looking for me, baby, I ain't hard to find. I've been on somebody's block, trying hard to shine. I've been hustling alone, struggled hard for mine. When I picked up that pen and decided to rhyme, hey, look at me. Everybody look at me now. Everybody look at me now. Everybody look at me. If you looking at yourself, then you ain't looking at me. Hey, look at me.
Eyes focused on me and watch me do whatever they don't do. And I ain't never gon' do, cause all they do is watch me do what I do. And you already know what I'ma do. I'ma get more green than a can of Mountain Dew. Never owe nobody whatever amount due. If she wanna do the do, then that's what we gon' do. When it comes to the crew, it's whatever they won't do. And yes, I do. Got to stay clean every day. Interviews for all of the songs I done made. In the news with my eyes are behind shades. It don't really matter cause they recognize a nigga face anyway. Anytime it needs to be placed. Turn up my song, I turn up your place. And you can't go wrong when I'm in my zone. In your spot when I'm on that stage, they look at me, keep their eyes on me, read me just like a book. They see that I'm everything that I say I be in, yeah. When a nigga see me 99.9, I be so low, low 0.1 time. If you can't see that, then you must be blind.
If you've been looking for me, baby, I ain't hard to find. I've been on somebody block, trying hard to shine. I've been hustling long, struggled hard for mine. When I picked up that pen and decided to rhyme, hey, look at me. Everybody look at me now. Everybody look at me now. Everybody look at me. If you looking at yourself, then you ain't looking at me. Hey, look at me. Everybody look at me now. Everybody look at me now. Everybody look at me. If you looking at yourself,
keep your eyes focused on me, cause I'm gon' say whatever they don't say. And I ain't never gon' say, cause all they say is everything that I say. And you already know what I'ma say. I'ma say that thing, up close but no tape. When it come to being great, then they just okay. I'ma eat, though I ate everything on my plate. You can see, look at me, you can't, then it's okay. Yeah, you can tell by the smell. See why he hot as hell, or that nigga burnt up. Nigga say I'm turned up, cause it's my time. Put the state on my back, see how high I climb. I am great, that's a fact. When the boys not lying, you can relate, then sit back, cause you can't sit down. Cause I'm getting shine. Nigga see me out of my grind. If you was looking for a nigga, I ain't hard to find. Just gotta look at me, keep your eyes on me, read me just like a book.